Hey everyone, my name is Taylor Crosilla, and this is my project proposal for mapping heat-vulnerable neighborhoods in Manhattan, New York. This project will focus on using a geographic information system analysis to identify neighborhoods in Manhattan, New York that have higher vulnerability to heat related to the effects of an urban heat island. The results of this project will discover neighborhoods in need of mitigation solutions by increasing the amount of green spaces with the help of the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. Due to the lack of vegetation and impervious surfaces covering urban areas, higher temperatures occur within cities compared to its surrounding rural areas, which is known as the urban heat island effect. Common building materials also have low solar reflectance which absorb heat, ultimately adding to rising temperatures. This influx of temperatures results in increases in energy consumption, greenhouse gas emissions, and even heat-related illnesses or death. Unfortunately, some populations are more vulnerable to heat than others, including individuals over the age of 65, low-income residents, and minorities, emphasizing the inequalities that are burdened by these neighborhoods. A popular mitigation strategy for an urban heat island is to increase the amount of green spaces. Urban green spaces supply multiple environmental benefits to cities. The most important factor that is relevant to this project is that they reduce air temperatures through consumption of solar radiation and providing shade. They also decrease air pollution and greenhouse gases, which is beneficial to not only public health but to alleviating global warming. Green spaces absorb stormwater runoff, which reduces flooding. They also provide habitats for plants and animals to flourish in. On top of all the environmental benefits, there are also social and economic impacts related to green spaces. They are linked to improvements in physical and psychological health by providing a free area for recreation, exercise, and relaxation. They have also been shown to increase property values and create jobs or opportunities for the public. New York City is home to over 8 million people and is expected to reach 9 million residents by 2040. The city has the highest population density of any major city in the United States. It is known for its concrete jungles and is home to over 21% parkland. But a recent study determined that out of 15 major cities, New York City ranks last among green space per resident, with only 146 square feet to every person. A GIS analysis will be used to identify neighborhoods with higher heat vulnerability. Due to the timeline of this project and the geographic position the external partner is responsible for, the scope of this project will be an analysis of Manhattan, New York. A tentative completion date of this project is set for October 11th. The project will use two different GIS approaches to identify neighborhoods that are vulnerable to heat. One method will analyze demographic data provided by the U.S. Census Bureau, focused on age, income, and race. The geographic boundary of this data will be at the census tract level, which covers about 90 acres in New York City. Using various spatial tools on ArcGIS, including the hotspot analysis and the cluster and outlier analysis, these tools will identify clusters of vulnerable populations. The second method will analyze physical characteristics of Manhattan, including the land cover, population density, and surface temperature. Population density will be obtained from the U.S. Census Bureau and grouped at the census tract level. Determining areas of high population density correlates to a need for more green spaces to accommodate the larger population. Land cover and surface temperature will be determined through remote sensing imagery from the U.S. Geological Survey. The maximum likelihood classification tool will classify the land cover of Manhattan and distinguish the amount of green spaces from the Landsat 8 imagery. Next, the zonal statistics tool will determine the average surface temperature for each census tract on the Landsat Analysis Ready data bundle. A combination of spatial analysis tools used in the previous method and the weighted overlay tool on ArcGIS will be applied to generate results. Based on the results, the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation can allocate resources by providing more green spaces to high heat vulnerable neighborhoods. Due to the timeline of this project, finding a location and funding for a new green space is too expensive. Alternative methods for adding green spaces to vulnerable neighborhoods can be the use of tactical urbanism. Tactical urbanism is a small-scale effort to seek improvements of the city by integrating concepts to improve city life in order to show the potential before there are full financial commitments. Examples of this practice include converting unused pavement into parks, green street plazas, guerrilla gardening, and park mobiles, as shown in the following pictures. These efforts are alternatives to increasing green spaces without breaking the bank in order to mitigate an urban heat island. Similar research has been performed in efforts to identify heat-vulnerable neighborhoods or mapping of an urban heat island. One study from Kumar et al. Focused on remote sensing imagery to identify areas that are prevalent with causing an urban heat island. This study used Landsat imagery to classify land cover and develop land surface temperature maps of the case study in India. As shown in the maps on the left, the research identified that higher temperatures were found in built-up areas compared to vegetative areas, a clear indicator of an urban heat island. Another study from Rinner et al. Used an analysis of both remote sensing imagery and demographic data to map vulnerable neighborhoods in Toronto, Canada. As shown in the map on the right, they used spatial analysis in GIS to identify clusters in order to generate a heat vulnerability index. This project can bring solutions to populations that are burdened with the effects of an urban heat island. These unprecedented times has demonstrated how essential green spaces are to the residents of New York City. Heat-vulnerable populations were also disproportionately impacted by the coronavirus outbreak. Therefore, the results of this project are not only timely, but should be considered at higher levels of importance. With the help of the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, change will come to neighborhoods in need of solutions. Hopefully, this will lead to a more sustainable, equitable future for New York City. These are my references, and thank you for watching.